There's a lot to like about 1976's Marcus. This Detroit five-piece boasted three guitar players and no bass, but it didn't lack for a full sound. What it lacked was proper promotion and the right way to categorize it. Marcus Malone grew up in Detroit. Some things that I read placed him as a singer for Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels, but I couldn't find any musical credits that supported that. What I did find was that Marcus's musical youth was spent singing in the church choir and listening to a lot of B.B. King records. In search of something more, a grown Marcus left Detroit for Ann Arbor, which is really only about 70 miles west, but musically and culturally completely different. Where Motown dominated Detroit, Ann Arbor, home of University of Michigan and other colleges, had a more diverse scene: folk, rock, punk. Marcus joined this scene and then started a band with the young drummer who was living next door to the MC5 house. And the band started playing with other Michiganders like Iggy Pop and Bob Seger. Marcus was made up of Marcus Malone on vocals, Dan Holmes on drums, and then you have Gene Block, Randall David, and Jack Weber all on guitars. They cut their teeth playing shows and festivals from Chicago to Toledo to Detroit and then back again. I'm fairly certain these guys didn't have any other legit band prior to Marcus. I didn't see anything from earlier, and for a couple of them, even general information was non-existent. And to tell you the truth, I still don't know which one of these guys is Randall David. In 1975, Ike Turner saw Marcus and flew the band out to LA, where they signed a deal with United Artists, which didn't work out the way that they had envisioned it. United Artists was a big soundtrack label, Fiddler on the Roof. It's a mad, 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 mad world. And all the James Bond movies were through UA. They did have bands, though. They had Traffic and Manfred Mann and the Easy Beats, Gordon Lightfoot and War were all on their roster. They also had a jazz portfolio that grew through some sort of Decca EMI distribution deal that would require a chart to explain. When the UK branch of Liberty Records shut down, those artists were also transferred to UA. So now there's Hawkwind, 999, Stranglers, and the Buzzcocks. United Artists also had a healthy country music portfolio with Crystal Gale and Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers would wind up being the label's biggest success. So that's a lot of diverse talent. And UA had access to equally talented support for these artists. They brought in Stuart Allen Love to produce Marcus's debut. Love had just got done producing the two Black Sheep records before Lou Grammatico changed his name and went to join Foreigner. He also produced Michael Quattro, as in Suzi Quattro's brother, his 1975 record in collaboration with the Gods, which is a prog meets classical piano record that features Rick Derringer on guitar and Flo and Eddie on vocals. So I think Love understood what he was hearing when Marcus got in front of him. This is a rock record, but it's also a prog record and a glam record and a Brit rock record and a jam record. They didn't write new stuff for this album. No one forced any songs on them either. They had been playing this stuff for years. The record's first song, Black Magic, reminds you that Marcus is from Detroit. The guitars are pointed and loud and deliberate. And when juxtaposed against Marcus's really high but powerful range and the deep purple sort of keyboards that are going on over here, you're sort of thrown into their trip right away. And it's a really good feeling to start it off. Gypsy Fever is one of the two songs that someone brilliantly thought that Tim Bogart should play on. The band's three guitarists in no way take anything away from the man, but rather give him the opportunity to remind everyone who the hell he is. Tim Bogart just adds another layer to this prog rock composition, which is different from prog rock, which is like one whole thing. And this song is more of like both genres separately and then turns it into something else that's like really close to being over the top. When the band does jump into the prog pool, you can hear Yes and ELP and King Crimson, and then Queen is splashing around somewhere over here. Marcus's vocals can take on a Steven Tyler turn, which sort of coos you to come in a little bit closer and then just like blows you away, and the band like follows through with it. They will go over the top at times, but they do it with a smirk on their face. And it isn't a ripoff. It's them putting like silly putty on top of all their influences and then playing with it. Problems with this record? Well, for one, there are really no singles. Black Magic might be radio doable, but most of these songs are too long. And I know they cut 5 minutes off a roundabout to make it playable for radio, but that was Yes. And UA wasn't going to edit Marcus for radio. Also not a single, High School Ladies Street Corner Babies. The words don't come up on closed caption, and some videos have the button completely blurred out. The last verse is probably the easiest to decipher, and it's gross, especially in a post-Epstein world. It's just another one of those misogynistic relics from 70s rock that many good bands had. Look, I love Sweet. I don't love the words to Sweet FA, but everybody draws their own line. And regardless, High School Ladies is probably the weakest song on the record, even with Tim Bogart on bass. Salmon Ball, also not a single. And I have to hang my head in a little bit of shame when I say that this has been my pet earworm for quite a while. It's a song about a one-night stand. It's not foreign in rock to sing a song about that. It's just the stuff that he sings about the morning after that's so awful. I was hoping for more innuendo. I mean, it's called Salmon Ball. It should write itself. They get some wordplay in, but it's no big balls. Unfortunately, Marcus trades clever for crass, but weirdly only on the verse, which is sort of channeling Jabriath. So I'm crossing my fingers and I'm hoping they're going to go full glam and it's going to go that far, total tongue in cheek. But then the song completely switches gear and it turns into a rock jam. And this is the part that I love. The chorus is great. And it's what echoes in my head for days. It's a little Leonard Skinner because we have these guitars running around, and then they meet up with Mountain, who meets up with Spinal Tap, and the whole thing is awesome. Until Marcus starts singing things like "You're just a bitch that I met at a bar." And, that's kind of disturbing. But, outside of that, it's a great record or a great song, and I can't deny it. The other problem was that United Artists white guys didn't know what to do with a rock band whose frontman was black. UA put Marcus in the funk, soul, and R&B category like they did with War, except this isn't that. Marcus isn't War. This is a rock record. That's where it should have been. As a matter of fact, in an essay that Marcus wrote for the 2000 re-release, he actually called this record a metal record. I think that's a bit of a stretch. It does have its heavy moments, but I don't think I'd go that far. These reasons and the coming of the disco age caused Marcus to languish at United Artists, and soon after they broke up. This was their only release. Dan Holmes became the drummer for Sabu, and Gene Block, who also went by Gene Black, is still a successful studio musician who's played with Hart, Cher, Rod Stewart, and spent a lot of time with Joe Cocker and his band. I couldn't find anything else on Randall David, and this may or may not be the same Jack Weber who played on Undisputed Truth. I really couldn't tell. Marcus Malone has been a successful musician in the UK and Europe since he arrived there with the love of his life. Then she went back to California and Marcus stayed to sing the blues. You should be able to find this record in the cheaps, but there's also that 2000 CD re-release on Rock Candy. When either one of them are available, put on your headphones, and not those like wee little ear nuggets, but like real headphones that take you somewhere when your eyes are closed and it's turned up. Do that and you'll be really glad for it. If you'd like to hear about other records you may or may not have had back in the day, you can subscribe to Bands of the Lost YouTube channel or check us out at bandsofthelost.com. Happy digging.